Caribbean Connections TV will bring the Caribbean and its flavors to our viewers in a fresh, Caribbean Connections TV will bring the Caribbean and its flavors to our viewers in a fresh, vibrant way that will entertain as well as educate.
Buckle your seatbelts. This is going to be an exciting, fantastic, energetic, soul-stirring ride. So don't you move.
Hey, it's Paradise, and you're watching Caribbean Connections Television, connecting the Caribbean and its people.
It's Paradise here for Caribbean Connections Television, and I'm with our very own Deputy Chief Sloly. How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for taking an interest in today.
Yes, it's very important to our community. Before we talk about the violence in the Caribbean, I want to address what are we doing for the violence in our own community in Ontario right here. Let's talk about the TAVIS program.
Well, Toronto has an anti-violence intervention strategy. It's called TAVIS for short. It's been in place for about 5 years now, and we've seen some very significant reductions in overall crime, and particularly in violent crime, particularly crime that relates to guns and gangs and drugs. It's not an easy project, but it's taking a different approach to a traditional problem of crime. Instead of simply looking at enforcement as the major approach, what we've tried to do is bring in what we call community mobilization. The goal is that, of course, we need to identify those who are committing the crimes, bring them before the courts, but we also need to recognize the conditions that cause that crime in the first place. So building up communities through community mobilization, outreach to youth and helping them to be more resilient against the temptations of falling into gang-related activity or crime, helping communities themselves to develop infrastructure, community centers, access to services that they weren't able to get. Working with local not-for-profit agencies, working with the local councillors and government to try to provide extra funding sources in those communities. That is as important as the law enforcement piece. And so bringing those two elements together is really what the anti-violence intervention strategy is all about, what TAVIS is all about.
And how about building that trust between police officers and the Caribbean community? And why do you think there's a lack of trust there?
Well, I think there is always a lack of trust in terms of policing. Unless you're at 100% trust, there's a lack of trust. What we try to do is continually improve on the level of trust. And I think, quite frankly, if all we did was lock up people, even if we were so 100% perfect and locked up 100% of the time all of the criminals, there would still be that lack of trust until the police begin to invest in communities, invest in young people, demonstrate that we want to prevent crime, not just solve crime. Then you can't. Why the anti-violence intervention strategy, TAVIS, is very effective. It is very much a 50-50 relationship. We go in and build up communities at the same time as we bring out criminals. It's not perfect. We've had our mistakes. We'll continue to have mistakes. But it is a very different and very committed approach to policing than we've had before. And I think it is showing results, both on the crime reduction and improving trust in our communities.
And how about the code of silence that some of our community has, where they would not turn to the police with information that they know about certain things or what they've seen? How do you break that code of silence?
Well, first of all, the code of silence exists in every human being, in every group. There's a code of silence that exists in your family and my family. There's things that we just don't talk to our parents about. There's things that our family knows about that we don't talk to our cousins. It's part of human nature. It's not an equation of crime. It's not an equation of community versus police. Certainly it exists to a greater or lesser degree in different types of cultures. It exists in policing. And yes, it exists in communities that are at risk of guns and gangs and drugs. Again, the whole idea is to focus on creating programs and processes and bringing people into the circumstance that raise trust and confidence. If someone got shot right at my door and my 5-year-old daughter was a witness to it, as a father, would I be concerned about whether I'd want her to become a witness? Absolutely. But if at some point I said to myself, am I going to step forward or not? If the single issue was whether or not I trusted the police, that's the wrong place to focus. Your first place should be, does that crime affect me and my family? Could that crime have involved my daughter, my wife, myself? And do I want to take the chance of that crime happening again where it does affect me? Just because I don't trust the police doesn't mean that therefore I'm absolved of the responsibility to do something about it, to tell something about it, to try to stop it from happening to the next person. Because if it happens to me, my wife, my daughter, and nobody steps forward as a witness, nobody contributes information to the police investigation, then I'm doubly victimized. and the community is doubly victimized. You empower criminals to continue to commit their acts of violence. My message is simply, we get that it's very difficult for people to step forward as witnesses. It's very concerning, and there aren't a lot of really great supports. But the answer to the problem is not silence. That just makes the problem worse. And the excuse to not do it can't be just, I don't like the police. Because then all you're doing is doubly victimizing the victims over again and creating more victims down the road. There's certainly an onus on the police to try to find better ways to support witnesses when they come forward, to be more customer service oriented in helping those witnesses. We need to do that better, no doubt about it. But simply say, I don't trust the cops, I'm not helping the cops. What you're really saying is, I don't want to help my own community. I don't want to protect my own family. That's really what you're saying. There are no quick and easy answers. There's a very complex set of circumstances. People are looking for a silver bullet solution. It doesn't exist. It's going to take a couple generations of committed, coordinated work in order to reverse this trend and then, in fact, turn it around.
You're a great role model to the youth in this world. I should say this world, not even just in Ontario and Canada. Who was your influence that made you not turn to violence and to all that negative energy, but to accomplish so much in your life and to be so successful at what you do?
Well, maybe too many to list. Listen, I firmly believe in family, first of all. I had good Jamaican values, I had good family values. I had parents who, like every family, struggled to work well as a mother and father, but they stayed together. And they stayed together primarily for their children, and they made their biggest decisions in their lives around what was best for their children. So even immigrating from Jamaica to Canada was a huge risk, a huge sacrifice that they made. Those things, whether explicit or implicit, impact on a person like myself, that making sacrifices, trying to invest in young people, getting an education. Both of them pursued an education. I was tempted at different points in my life to quit school and go and play professional sports. I was a professional soccer player for a while, but I wanted to quit school and go and pursue professional contracts. My parents reinforced the need for education. Ultimately, my professional career cut short with an injury, but I had a university education, and that was a huge advantage going forward. So your family, getting an education, faith, and whether that's expressed in terms of spiritual form, I have a very strong faith foundation, or it's just faith in yourself, faith in humanity. People will tell you, you'll never be a good media person, you'll never be a good police officer. You can believe that, or you can have faith in yourself. And through that faith in yourself, you'll draw other positive people to you. And I've had that benefit. Soccer coaches who became great mentors and friends, police leaders who became great mentors and friends, community people, some of whom were in the room over there in the JCA, have become great mentors and friends. Positive energy draws other positive people towards you.
Wonderful. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on Caribbean Connections TV.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Hey, it's your girl Paradise, and you can now watch us on Rogers Digital Cable, channel 129. Buckle your seatbelts, we're about to take off.
Caribbean Connections TV will take you back to the islands. Each week, Caribbean Connections explores new community events, from carnivals to concerts, artists, jazz festivals, culinary happenings in Canada and around the world.
See Caribbean Connections and a popcorn I represent. You see Caribbean Connections? Yow! Caribbean Connections, you're gone again. Yeah. Caribbean Connections, clean, 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 clean. Every day we clean. Caribbean under Raving King. Yeah.
Don't forget to watch Caribbean Connections Television on City TV at 10:30 a.m. and also on Rogers Digital Cable 129 at 11:30 a.m.
Stay tuned now. Don't touch dial. Keep on keeping on.
Hey, Caribbean Connections TV fans. Thank you so much for being such a great support for Caribbean Connections Television. And all of you around the world, especially in the Caribbean, thank you so much for your wonderful emails. Just to let you know, Caribbean Connections TV was created with you in mind. We created Caribbean Connections TV so we can highlight the Caribbean diaspora. We don't want to see all that negative stuff on TV about us, because we're full of talent, we're full of love, we're full of energy, we're full of color, and that's why Caribbean Connections TV was created, to highlight our diverse talents, our uniqueness, and our colorful characters. So once again, thank you so much for supporting Caribbean Connections Television.
I'm planning to stop sing soca and go and live in Grenada. Caribbean Connection called me to sing on their TV. Every night I lie down in my bed, Caribbean Connection in my head, saying, all you Trini people, I say, watch Caribbean Connection TV. This is the real big man in the business, Iowa George. Don't forget, we in 7 Caribbean islands. We have 2 channels in Trinidad and all over Toronto. All the channels you can hear me. It's the best place for good, honest journalism. I would just love you.
And Caribbean Connection viewers, if you're craving more dancehall, reggae, Egyptian, popcorn, Mavado, or Baby Sham, tune into CaribbeanConnectionsTV.com or YouTube, Caribbean Connect TV. There's lots more spicy footage there, I promise you. Hey you! Yes you! I notice you look kind of weary and sick. If you want to feel lively and you want to be able to get up and whine for hours, you need to go to Caribbean Connect TV on YouTube and you need to subscribe. I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. My name is Nurse Carib. And you need to subscribe, people. You need to subscribe to Caribbean Connect TV. And you'll feel better. You'll feel more alive. You'll feel hotter. Just like the Caribbean sun, you'll get hot. What you waiting for? Get up and subscribe. The show over.
Caribbean Connections TV, hosted by Paradise Nicole Hendrickson, star of television, stage, and film. Caribbean Connections TV will bring the Caribbean and its flavors to our viewers in a fresh, vibrant way.
Evening and for another year, Miss Leyu, Nicole Hendrickson.
HD and you're locked on Caribbean Connection 1 on TV, Toronto. Big up yourself.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for more exciting footage, interviews, and prize giveaways.
Caribbean Connections TV will take you back to the islands. Each week, Caribbean Connections explores new community events, from carnivals to concerts, artists, jazz festivals, culinary happenings in Canada and around the world. The show is different from anything you've ever seen.